When I would get up in the morning to run, it was dark, no street lights. My mom didn't know my dream, but she knew there was a passion there. And so knowing that I wanted to run and the obstacles it presented, she would get in the car and drive behind me with the headlights on.
Get Lit supports youth in particularly difficult circumstances and gives them that wonderful ability to be able to get physically active and mentally stimulated.
Get Lit is firstly a fantastic Toronto institution which endeavors to try and get together people who support increasing literacy for those who are in need, and an opportunity to actually get a glimpse into a very personal part of other people in the community, which is the books they love and what they love about them.
The old grey donkey, Eeyore, stood by himself in a thistly corner of the forest, his front feet well apart, his head on one side, and thought about things. Sometimes he thought sadly to himself, why?
I really related to Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh, and I think we all kind of relate to Eeyore in a way because he's the morose donkey, and we all know Eeyores. We all have an Eeyore in our life, and maybe some of us have a little piece of Eeyore in our souls.
A few years ago, I'm at a restaurant, and there's John Irving. And so I'm going to go over and tell him that thanks to his book, I believe in God. I would have thought that if you're an author, this is a cool thing. So I go up to him. Now, Irving is on the celebrity atheists list. So, and I didn't know this at the time. But Irving's quite irreverent, so he doesn't want to be on any list. So when he was asked if he was an atheist, he says, no, I'm not comfortable being an atheist, but he's also not comfortable being a believer. Anyways, he's John Irving. He's allowed to do that. But I said to him, after I read A Prayer for Owen Meany, I honestly had a spiritual awakening. I believe in God. And he looked at me, long pause. He said, read it again.
I really wasn't sure this was the city for me. There were so many. It was so different from European cities or even from Montreal. But one night I went down to Harbourfront to the Writers series, and I listened to Michael Ondaatje read from this book. And he talked about the city and where it came from. The bridge goes up in a dream. It will link the East End with the center of the city. It will carry traffic, water, and electricity across the Don Valley. It will carry trains that have not even been invented yet. Night and day, fall light, snow light, they are always working, horses and wagons and men arriving for work on the Danforth side at the far end of the valley. Well, this is the book that made me stay in Toronto. I came to Toronto 30 years ago from Montreal.
I think reading's important, and I think our libraries are an extremely valuable commodity, and I think kids should be encouraged to read, and parents should read to their kids like my mom did, and lots of reasons.
We had a memorial service for Isaac a few years back, and I spoke, and I said at one point, Isaac is up in heaven now. It was the funniest thing I could have said to an audience of humanists. I rolled them in the aisles. It was several minutes before order could be restored, and if I should ever die, God forbid, I hope you will say, Kurt is up in heaven now. So, Kurt is up in heaven now. That's my favorite joke.
This is a terrific event because you've got kids here. That's really important. It's a great cause.
Acha means what? He mumbled, alcoholic beverage or what? And when the stewardess reassured him, whatever you wish, sir, all beverages are free, he heard once again his traitor voice, so okay, baby, give one whiskey soda only. What a nasty surprise. He'd come away with a jolt and sat stiffly in his chair, ignoring alcohol and peanuts. How had the past bubbled up, transmogrified vowels and vocab? What next?
The passage I read, I read at my mother-in-law's funeral, in that as somebody who also earns a living trying to speak, I didn't quite know what to say, and so had Alice say it for me. Over a year ago, Grant had started noticing so many little yellow notes stuck up all over the house. That was not entirely new. She'd always written things down. The title of a book she'd heard mentioned on the radio, or the job she wanted to make sure she did that day. Even her morning schedule was written down. He found it mystifying and touching in its precision.
It's important what Get Lit supports in terms of reading and running, but it's also important in terms of getting the city together as another cultural hub. And so I'm excited about being at Get Lit.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for shining the light. And tonight, that's what you're doing. You're shining the light.